Okay, you already have a tentative topic. So let's say this is your tentative topic here as an example that this is what you are trying to do. Your topic is implementing lean in construction project. Now, what you need to do, you need to define a scope of your project. Consider your dissertation, it is a project as well, and you need to define a scope of your research and your project. Now, in the scope, we can think about three or four main things. First thing, what is your final product? Then we can think about the people who will be beneficiary of that product. Then we can think about the place your research is based on. Either you're talking about the IT industry in the entire world, or you're talking about the IT industry in India, you're talking about IT industry in Africa or Europe or UK. You need to be very, very specific. So when you do a research and you talk about, let's say, construction supply chain of the entire world, wherever you go, that doesn't work in a way because of the culture, because of the nature, because of the nurture of the people, how they behave, how the organizations work, what are the regulation, what are the policies. So it will differ country to country. Now, some of the construction industry, for example, UK and France could be very similar because of those are neighboring countries. The culture is almost similar, and the architecture and all that is similar as well. So that is something we can consider. But when you're talking about overall, we can't do that. So we need to define the scope, and how we can define the scope. We need to restrict ourselves, our research, to a limited area. Now, if you do research in the global context, then when you go to collect the data, you have to collect the data from several different countries or maybe several different organizations worldwide. But when you have a specific country in mind, for example, UK, so you can just find the organizations within the UK and send them the questionnaire and collect the data. That will be much more manageable. So having a research project, again, I'm stressing on project. Having a research project, that means that need to be manageable. You should be able to monitor and control the activities on your dissertation or whatever research you are doing. So I have given an example here that with that example, and most of you have the similar idea right now that you are doing research in for scheduling issues in IT industry. You are looking at the project management methodology in construction. You're looking at some investment opportunity in logistics. So all of these ideas, these are very generic ideas right now. So what you need to do is you need to think about product, people, place, and process. Process means what will be your research process. That comes down to your research methodology. Also, you can think about a process like Abhishek's research is about scheduling process, how they can improve the scheduling that the project doesn't delay or project doesn't fail as well. Same thing in construction. You can think about you when you're talking about the entire construction project that is not going to work, but you can take a phase of construction, maybe design phase, maybe the handover phase, or maybe the construction phase, and you can think about the process in that particular phase as well. Project are being project have all the phases of construction from design till handover. So we need to think about one phase. You can't just talk about the entire supply chain of the construction project or entire supply chain or project in IT industry. So you need to be very, very specific. Now, how you can do that? You have a tentative title over here, tentative topic, implementing lean in construction project. Now, it doesn't tell me that yes, I want to implement lean or in the construction project, but it doesn't tell me which construction project. Am I talking about the residential? Am I talking about the commercial construction? Am I talking about something specific type of construction? Maybe the retail parks or maybe shopping complexes. Which type of construction I'm talking about? So what will happen if you have this type of topic? You do not have a specific audience for your research. So we need to think about that specific audience, the impact of your research. Now, this is a very generic topic. So let's move one by one. How can we improve that topic? And that is what I need you to do before we meet one to one. I need you to have at least your aim and objectives clear to you. So that is a very generic topic. Does anybody have any question at this stage?
No,
So
sir.
I have one question.
Yeah, go on, go on.
Regarding the product process and that last slide that you showed me, what does product indicate?
I'm going to show you now.
Okay.
We
Okay.
are going to
Thank you.
talk about those 4 things today.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Now the product is, so over here, the product is what is the outcome of your research that we call a product. So your research is a transformation, and at the end of your research, your final report is a product. And that product we need to understand for which people. Now, the product could be that you are coming up with a guideline to implement best scheduling practice in IT industry. So your product is the guideline. The product could be a framework to implement uh, a framework to implement best practice for scheduling IT projects. So that could be the framework is your product. Now, what is your final product? Are you giving them the guideline? Are you giving them the suggestions? Are you giving them the policies improvement? Are you giving them something else, a framework or a diagram, whatever you're giving? So that is a product for your research. So we need to think about what we are giving to the people. Is not just a report, is not just a dissertation or description of what happened in your dissertation. You need to give them something, and that is what is going to impact on the policies in academia and to the community of practice. We need to think about the project. So the product could be a framework, a product could be the final outcome of the research, because what you are doing, you're doing literature review, you come up with the findings of the literature review. After that, you will take those findings and do the data analysis, come up with a finding, and at the end you will combine those findings and generalize those. And that is what the research is. You come up with the journal findings, and that concludes that okay, you were thinking that there is issue of scheduling, but actually the issue is the resources. So you come up with the issue and then you come up with the solution to it. So you come up with a problem and then the solution. So that solution is the product which I can take from your research and I can implement it in the IT industry. You getting my point? So we need to have an outcome, the final outcome of the research, which is most of the time either the solution to a problem. That is why we have problem statement, solution to a problem, and we might have a framework, we might have a guideline, or we might have something else that you can come up with, which I can take and use it in the practice. So are we okay with the product now? Okay, now over here we had a topic which is the generic topic, implementing lean with construction project. Now in that topic, I have refined the topic because now I know the product that I'm going to develop a framework. Now I define the topic, a framework for implementing lean within construction projects. OK, so the product is the framework. Through this research, I will come up with a framework that can help to implement lean in construction project. So that was the product. Now it makes me much more clear with that topic that OK, this research will give me a framework to help me how I can implement lean in the construction project. Now let's move forward. So this is we had the generic topic. We now have the refined topic, framework to implement lean within the construction project. So now the other product when we refined it a bit more, we can talk about which construction projects we are talking about. Now, it could be residential, it could be commercial, or it could be any other construction project. So we have to be more specific. Now, why is that? Why we need to be specific? First thing, we have to focus on our audience that, okay, we are writing for this particular audience and this particular demographic. Now, when you talk about overall construction industry, there are several different type of project in construction project in construction industry. So commercial, retail, non-retail. It could be the infrastructure related construction as well, civil engineering and all that. So we don't want to go for all the areas. So when you have very wide scope, you will get lost when you are doing a literature review. But when you know that you just need to conduct literature review which is related with the commercial properties, commercial construction or the residential construction, that will define the territory, that will define the limitations for your research. And you will be very specific that your focus is on residential construction only. So you just work on residential construction. Now, another benefit of doing that is that in the residential construction, when you have to collect the data, so you know the organizations or the companies who developing the residential properties, and you just go and collect the data from those people. So with that, you will come up with a target population as well, which is important to come up with. You will come up with a target population that only in Manchester, only 50 companies are developing residential properties. So your target population is that 50 companies. Within UK is about 200 companies. So you just send the questionnaire to those 200 companies only. So now the product is the framework, but that framework is focused on residential construction to implement lean. That makes much more sense. And that title gives the audience a much better idea what is this research about. So you're refining the topic here, and you're refining the topic based on the product, based on the place, now based on the people and the process as well. What will happen later on? We talk about people. Now we have talked about the product, which is the framework and for a residential construction project. Now we can also add people as well in our title. Now the people could be the project managers, the people could be the supply chain managers, the people could be the main contractors who takes care of the project management and the supply chain management. Now you can think about, or people could be the lean managers who are responsible for implement lean into a construction supply chain. Same thing when you talk about people in IT industry or you talk about people in logistic industry, you need to think about who are going to utilize your research. So those are the people you are targeting. So maybe the project managers, maybe the people who are responsible for scheduling, maybe the people who are responsible for investment in the company, maybe finance department, maybe the people who are responsible for implementing something into that particular industry. So the people could be the project managers, people could be any other people who you are targeting to. So now it could be the refined topic could be a framework for project managers. You are making it much more specific now. The framework for project managers to implement lean within residential construction project. Now I believe that makes much more sense to you now that it is much more clear. If you talk about implementing lean in the construction project, that wasn't that clear, but this topic is much more clearer to me. A framework for project manager to implement lean within residential construction project. Any question up to that point? Are you getting what I'm trying to say?
Yes, sir. It's making sense.
Okay, so let's move further. Now place is also important because we have to give limitation to our research. Now when I'm talking about limitation, one thing was impact, the second thing is limitation. We have to write another section in introduction, that limitation of this research. So we have to create the boundaries of our research. We cannot just go and do some research. Let's say if I say somewhere in Manchester there is a gold treasure. So you have to go and find in Manchester. It will be really hard for you guys to go and find the treasure in that big Manchester. But if I say somewhere within the University of Salford territory, there is a treasure, it will be much more easier for you to find the treasure, isn't it? Because you have the limitations now, you can pinpoint the place very easily because that is within the University of Salford. And when I say somewhere within the Peel Park, there is a treasure. So that will be much more easier for you to go and find that treasure. And that is what we do in research. So limitation, we have to make it limited. Now, when you talk about IT industry, you talk about IT industry in India, talk about IT industry in China, talk about IT industry in UK or Europe. You cannot just talk about the IT industry in general or the overall, that your framework will work for all the IT industries in the world. No, you have to be very specific. Now, in the same specific way, what we need to do, we need to limit our research within UK, within Manchester, or whichever country you can think of. Now, my suggestion here is if you have plans to work in UK in future, then take UK. If you have planned to work in India or Africa or China or any other country, take your research or territory of your research in that country. Because when you go to the industry, you at least when you doing your research, let's suppose you are going to work in UK IT industry. So you're doing research in UK IT industry, you will learn about the industry and that will help you later on for your future. So take your research, take the country or the boundaries within the country or the area you want to research. That is very important. Doing research is not just for the degree purposes, it is for your development purposes because I think all of you were in the module earlier in procurement and it's a risk management one. So you believe you know that I mentioned many times that you should do something which is going to help you for the future. So choose the research topic which is going to help you for the future. And that is your target, that this is where in this is the industry you want to go for. It's not like you have worked in the industry and you have some understanding about it. So you are going to write a report. No, go and do some research. OK, I was in IT industry, but I want to go in construction now. I want to open the doors for the construction industry. So go do and research for on construction industry. So that is what we need to do. So you look at the place which where you think that I want to work in Dubai later on. I want to learn about the UK IT industry or UK construction industry. Do the research in UK. So your area, your territory will be in the UK. Now the place now over here, I came up with the framework for project managers to implement lean within residential construction projects in the Salford. OK, it could be UK, it could be Manchester, it could be Dubai, it could be China, it could be USA, Canada, wherever. Now I'm restricting my research in Salford. Now what will happen in Salford is a small city. I might have maybe 20 property developers, residential property developers over here, and I can go to them, those 20 organizations, and easily collect data from them. It is in Salford within my reach. I can go and collect the data. I can send them the survey. Maybe I can call them for the focus group interview as well. So it is making much more easier for me. Now, the beneficiaries will be the people in those companies in Salford or maybe the nearby territory as well. So it will impact on the Salford. When we're talking about the best practice, it will impact on the companies who are working in Salford, how to implement lean, and they can they can enhance their construction process or whatever, reduce the cost, reduce the waste while implementing lean. That make much more sense to me that this is what I'm going to do. Now that gives very specific vision to me that, okay, this is my project and this is what I'm going to do. So that is about place. You can pick and choose whichever place, but you should have some justification why you are picking that place, why you are choosing that place. Now, the process, again, it could be any process within construction, any process within the IT industry, like Abhishek just mentioned about the scheduling process. Some of the you mentioned about the best practice in project management. So the construction process. Now over here, talking about the residential construction process. Now I am very specific. I'm not talking about commercial construction. I'm not talking about retail park or a university building. I'm not talking about the student accommodation as well. I'm talking about the residential construction process. Or in residential as well, it could be the high rise building. It could be the process of any two-bedroom homes or three-bedroom homes. It can be much more specific as well, but it could be any process within the construction, or just keep the residential construction process. Like you got scheduling process, you got investment process and all that, or maybe acquiring funding process. It could be anything. So you're looking at the processes as well. Now, I think that this topic make much more sense to me, is much better. Now, when you have this type of topic, now the actual trick is, which nobody else is going to tell you. You you have a topic, you need to convert it into aim. So your aim of your research will come from this topic. Even though you want to change this topic later on, but at least you have an idea that this is what you are going to do. So aim of your research will be, how will you do that? That is your final topic. In your final topic, we talk about product. You're talking about the people, which is project manager. You're talking about the process, implementing lean, and the process is construction process. And you're talking about the place, which is Salford. So when you got all these things in your topic, you got a very good idea that this is what you are going to do. And you got a by this time, you got a very good idea as well, are the people you are going to send the survey, which is your territory, what are your limitations, and what will be your impact. So you will learn all that, but make sure when you are doing that, on one page, write impact and all the things you can think of, write in an impact. All the things you can think of in limitation, write it on limitation as well. Otherwise, you will forget later on when you are thinking about this final topic. Now you got the final topic, which talk about product, people, process, and place. I'm not saying you must do that, but I would say doing that will give you much more clarity about your research. Now, after that, you got the final topic. What we need to do is we need to you got the scope, you got the limitation, you need the audience, the policymaker, project manager, small and medium construction enterprises, and lean implementation as well. So you got all these ideas pre-hand. Now let's convert it into aim and objective. Now this is your final topic. What you just need to do is add this phrase in front of it. Aim of this research is to develop a framework for project manager to implement lean within residential construction process in itself. So that becomes your aim. Simple. Don't do anything else. Just add this phrase. Aim of this research is to develop a. That's it. That becomes your aim. It's kind of magic that you have already created your topic and the aim as well. So any question on that or any reaction?
No, sir.
Okay, good. So you come up with the aim, and now what? Once you got the aim, you need to break it down into objectives. Yeah. So you got the aim, you are going to break it down to objectives. Now, things about objective. When you are coming up with the objectives, you need to think about what is going on in the aim. Now you got the final topic, you got the aim, which is same as the final topic. Now you can have 4 to 5 objectives maximum. I would suggest not to go more than that until unless it is very necessary or essential to go for sixth objective. Now how objectives work? First objectives must be to review the literature. All the objectives will start with to do this, to analyze, to evaluate, to examine. Use the action words. So the first objectives will be to review the literature of what? What literature review you're going to do? I'm going to show you in a minute how to come up with that as well through your topic. To examine or to survey, to collect the data and the final product. So the final product is going to be the same as this one. So let's see in action. Now with that aim, the objectives could be to review the literature of. Now what literature are you going to do? Is there can anybody tell me which literature we're going to do here with for this topic? Any ideas? You
So
can.
like for my for my research topic, like we have some WBS, like work-based solutions. So we used to review those documents before we proceed towards any project and before we align our resources or do the capacity or estimations kind of thing.
Okay,
So
that's good. Brenda, you can speak. It'll be much faster.
So for the topic within the presentation, we would have to look essentially into lean, residential construction, and if there's any paper that's related to specifically to Wolverhampton,
Yeah,
and
yeah. So it should be
see if there are
Salford actually.
existing. Yeah.
Okay. I was teaching it to Wolverhampton students earlier, so I mean last year, so that's why it says Wolverhampton. Okay, so now yes, your research, your literature review will be the construction processes, residential construction. It will be the lean implementation and about lean. We will talk about it in a minute. Now, the second objective could be the investigate, analyze the current understanding of project managers to implement lean in residential construction process through qualitative analysis. So you can make it up. It depends on the requirement of your research. Now, like Ritika just said, that she is going to analyze the work-based solution. So you can say to investigate the current work-based solution to identify or to understand the understanding of you know of the people working in the organization, something like that. Now the second could be to analyze, study, or establish. I have given you these words. You should be using these words. These are the action words that gives an action that this is what you are going to do. And do not use to determine. Those are very uh, are not really good words for a researcher. It should be analyze, study, establish to establish the best practice. And the final, the fifth objective, because that is the final outcome, that will be again your aim to develop a framework and a set of guideline maybe for project manager to implement lean within residential construction process in Salford. Okay, so now you know that is how your objectives will be. Look at this slide because we don't have enough time now. Look at these slides and you can work on your objectives. And this is what I need you to do by next week. And then we can have meetings the week after. So once you have the objectives, your final topic, you know the final topic. Now you need to identify the literature review, what literature review you're going to do. Now over here, I made a list of literature review that you're going to write introduction, lean, one of your topic, and then you will talk about what is lean in construction, implementing lean in construction process, and maybe implementing lean in residential construction process. Then domestic housing, what is it? Domestic housing in Wolverhampton or Salford. And then what is construction process, domestic housing process, lean construction process. So these could be your literature review. Those could be the headlines of your literature review. And when you got all that headlines, when you got the structure available, you can use those as the keywords to search for the articles. So when you are using for the keywords, you can use the keyword lean implementation, framework for implementing lean in residential construction, and you can use the Boolean operators and or not when you are searching on Google or any search engine.